It's time to talk about comics. There we go. So, this Uncanny X-Men 174, this comic means more to me than any single issue in the history of comics. It's the comic that first made me fall in love with the medium, and it's kind of ironic because, and we'll talk about this one in a minute, but this aside, made me fall in love with comics. And it's kind of funny that I think of it that way because the title is Romances. Let me make sure that there we go. Get it focused. It's from October of '83. At least that was the publication date, which means that it's what it came out actually earlier. I feel like this was like a summer or fall comic when I first bought it. But anyway, this was the first one. I walked into a local convenience shop when I was riding around town with me and my friend. Actually saw it on a spinner rack. On the spinner rack in a convenience store. And I remember looking at it and thinking, that doesn't look like the comics that I'm used to seeing, because up until that point, I was what, 10? I would have been 10 years old in mid '83. My birthday's in December. Until then, I kind of thought comics were stupid because I thought of them as sort of the Biff Bam Pow sort of thing, from the old Batman TV show. They just seemed stupid. I didn't really understand superheroes. I read comics. I read two comic titles sort of regularly. One was Star Wars and the other was G.I. Joe, but they were tethered to things I already loved, So it wasn't so much that I was reading them for original storytelling. I was reading them because they were things that I loved. But this, I saw the cover and I'm like, that looks interesting. It doesn't look like just punching. I didn't know anything about the X-Men. I didn't know anything about these characters, but it kind of intrigued me. And it turned out that this issue, looking through it, there's no, I just remember flipping through it. There's a little bit of action, not much. There's no action. There's no punching. There's no silliness going on. It seemed like it was about the characters. And even at age 10, I was a weird kid. I was more about the characters and storytelling in the things that I love, which was mostly movies. And I remember thinking, this is kind of interesting. I wonder what it's like. And so I picked it up and started reading it. And immediately it was, this issue was sort of a break in the action for the story arc that was going on. It was Scott Summers was with Madeline Pryor, and and she kind of resembled somebody else. So they hinted at that. Didn't know who the other person was, and it was all about the relationships that the characters were going through at the time, and the troubles and the highs and the lows. And this is sort of the end of Logan and Rico's storyline, and so I didn't know what was going on, but it made me so interested in finding out about them. And again, even this issue, Paul Smith, his artwork still blows me away. It's so beautiful and so straightforward. Not a lot of comic book stuff going on. It's really sort of panel to panel, straightforward stuff. There's a little bit going on here where Peter breaks the panel border, but that's done for effect. And here again, there's hints at things in the past that I had no idea what they were, but they really intrigued me. Again, more just really straightforward. I'm looking at this now, and I look at it. Sometimes I look at old comics, and I'll notice things that wouldn't have stood out at the time. But like, there's no background past the windows here, and it doesn't. You don't miss it. It doesn't. I mean, it'd probably be in there now. It'd be easy to just paint some clouds in there, and then we get to the end here of this issue. I love how this is set up. These car approaches and then parks, and then this one shot from moment to moment, and this character comes in, and at the time I was just like, oh, who is that? Don't know. And here we go. conflict starting. Beautiful setup here of the two romantic partners, but then there's a break, and I love this panel to panel here. Goes from close up to mid shot where you see her move back a little bit, but it's almost like a camera move. The camera pulls back just a little. Even from this one, the camera pulls back just a little bit, and then she slugs him. What a great page turn, too. Speaking of which, there's another great page turn come up here. And again, I didn't quite understand at the time, why he was putting on these glasses and stuff. I guess it kind of says here, but it was weird. And then it had the big page turn. Well, here, revealing Dark Phoenix, who, again, had no idea who this character was, but I thought, well, that's really cool. That's really cool. And this is issue 174 of Uncanny, and the next issue would be issue 175, which actually turned out to be the 20th anniversary, or it would have been the 20th anniversary of I think of X-Men. Let's see here what's coming next. No, it doesn't. Whoops. Pardon me. I want to grab something here. Yeah. Here it is. Yeah, 20th anniversary. This is the next issue. And it just so happened I bought the first comic I ever bought was the one before this great issue of comics. It was a double-sized issue. Look at that, 60 cents to $1. It would cost a whole $1. Man, it's crazy, right? Whole $1. It's so cool. It's so great. Anyway, after I finished this issue and thought, well, that's I immediately like these characters and want to know more. I probably the next day went back and got the previous issue, which was still in the spinner rack, which was issue 173. And I mean, come on, look at that cover. Look at that cover. Oh, wow. What a terrific image of Wolverine, who, again, a character I didn't know, but I would after this issue. And Rogue, still near the beginning of her story. This is the era when she had just joined the X-Men, and she had been a villain character prior to this. But I remember, this issue, there's a lot of action, lots of cool stuff going on. Set in Japan. This might actually started my fascination with Japan. One of the few foreign countries I visited. I went to Tokyo in 2006. I think 2006. Loved it. Anyway, I mean, right away, it's a John Woo movie. You get the one panel setting the scene, and then boom, people thrown out of a window, and this double page here. I love double pages with multiple panels, and maybe this is why I've done this a couple times in my own books. But look at this awesome double page spread. Huge, big top panel, and then these little staccato moments below. That's just so cool. It's so great. Really great storytelling. And so much going on, too. There's another page that's really beautiful. You got the establishing shot here. That's a tall panel. And so, like in cinematic terms, it's almost like, because this is where your eye's going to go. It's going to start here where it says elsewhere. Your eye's going to come down. So it's almost like a shot that pans down. It forces your eye to move down, focus on these characters, and then you start getting the little moments here. But I mean, how beautiful is that? I need to look at old comics more. Remember what I loved about them. Get some ideas. Oh, this is kind of cool too. This grid here, and then this moment is so great, where she wants to sort of thank him with a kiss, and you don't see what happens here, but the way that Paul Smith has inked these little weird lines around her, and it makes it feel like that there's a jarring moment. You don't know what's happening. And then there's that. No, such good storytelling. Such good storytelling. I really love Paul Smith's work. And unfortunately, the issue after I started reading the series, this one, towards the end of this issue, they make the switch over to John Romita Jr. And so this is the last issue that Paul Smith drew. I didn't know it at the time, and I was so disappointed with John Romita Jr.'s work at the time. I've grown to love him. I think he's one of the greatest comic artists of all time. I love his work, but it was really jarring change for Paul Smith at the time. God, these are beautiful pages. This one, this long shot of the lightning coming down. These pages, this action scene against the, what's he called, Silver Samurai? They're actually sort of reminiscent or based on, I should say, or homages to the Wolverine miniseries that Frank Miller drew. If you look at that, you'll see similarities to these, and I think that was intentional. Obviously, Chris Claremont wrote both of them, and I'm guessing they told Paul Smith to sort of use that as a basis to sort of mimic it. But they're still beautiful. They're really well drawn. Great stuff. Great action. Great Wolverine action. I love this panel especially. From this panel to this panel during the fight, where you don't see the sword actually enter. You see, he's got it off panel here, and he's about to plunge it into Wolverine, who has the healing factor, so it's not going to kill him. But the expression on Wolverine here, it's wonderful. Really wonderful stuff. Great choreography. If you look at the drawings, really tell the story, and you can almost see it in motion. Really good stuff. Ending, with him pretty much having the upper hand. He could, and then she comes in and stops it. It's really, really good. And another thing I like about this fight scene is it's all done in sort of the horizontal panels, the sort of widescreen look. It's come to be called until this moment where it's stopped. Well, I guess it keeps going, doesn't it? Well, my admiration remains. This is another example of something that I call comic booky in terms of, breaking the panel border. I don't do that a lot in my work. Neither does Paul Smith, and when he does it, it's for effect. There's a reason for it. And I love her hair. It's just all black. There's no definition to it, and it kind of works so well. Whereas with Mariko, you really see the definition in the way her hair is done. It's pretty cool. I love this moment. Made me fall in love with Rogue. Where she saves Logan, and absorbs the power, and then almost dies, but Logan finally gives her that kiss so that she can absorb the powers. It's a really beautiful moment, and because this is some of the first X-Men storytelling that I ever experienced. It's one of the reasons why the first X-Men movie is my second favorite of the entire series after First Class, because it focuses on the Logan and Rogue storyline so much in such a beautiful way and similar. I think that's what makes me appreciate it so much. And then in the ending, and it's funny because I'm seeing, I'd already seen Rogue, or seen Storm in her new form, sort of punk Rogue, but the mohawk and the leather. So this wasn't a surprise to me, but after reading this issue, and seeing where she started, the scenes, where are they? Back here. I didn't know Storm too well, but this still made an impact on me. The big change, and it's one reason why Punk Rogue is, or Punk Storm is so. I love that character so much. Anyway, again, this is all character stuff, you know. Like she's a mutant. She flies in, but it's still, that's not what's important about the scene. It's her transformation and Kitty's reaction to it, and it's just so beautiful. And in this moment here, where Madeline, who's this, you know, she's a normie, she's a civilian, and she's been asked to take care of something, doesn't know what it is, thinks it's a cat, turns out to be a dragon. And these 4 panels. Maybe if you're fond of, you know, more flashier comics, you won't appreciate it. But I love this sequence where she pulls him in. What places have you gotten me into? It's just really great. And of course, the wedding that doesn't happen. This ad for Role-Playing Bulletins. I'm gonna take a break here for 1 second and talk about this. This was my first encounter with John Byrne artwork, and I remember thinking, "That's awesome. Who is that, and what can I find out about this guy?" And then I eventually did, and he became my favorite comic artist. Then there's this terrific ending. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Anyway, that's it. Those are the. This is where my love affair with the medium of comic books began. These 2 issues. This one in particular. I just seeing them again. It brings back so many memories, and makes me want to reread X-Men again, which I've been planning to. I have like issues 1 through 250 on Comixology. I bought all the Marvel Masterworks omnibuses, and they're just amazing. I haven't read them. Maybe I should go back. Time to get back and fall in love with the comics again.